I have to inhale the coffee because the last match was such a slow chase that it put me to sleep for 2 days. Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur, and that statement has really upset Zaheer Khan because that was not a batsman's game; it was a bowler's game, and he's like, "Bowler की कोई value ही नहीं है."
By the sound of it, even today's game is going to be bowler's game.
It will be, no? Because
it's not going to be easy to place strokes on this wicket for sure.
In Nagpur, of course, that's the second ODI that's happening today. India won the first one, and this one also looks like it's not going to be a high-scoring one. Yeah. It was really strange. We saw the pitch, Ajay. You also saw it, and you thought उसको कोई बीमारी हो गई है, कोई freckles वगैरह कुछ.
आज की पिच
पोल्का डॉटेड लग रहा है.
बिल्कुल पोल्का डॉटेड. और अगर आप तो 2 दिन सो गए हो तो आपने एक रात मिस कर दी. कल शिवरात्रि थी, कल की रात जागना चाहिए क्योंकि स्पिरिचुअली अवेकनिंग होती है
सर.
तो आज की विकेट जो है ना,
हम तो बम बम भोले सर, सुबह शाम कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है सर.
तो जो आज की विकेट है ना, ये अवेकनिंग करेगी क्योंकि मैंने ऐसी पिच नहीं देखी. मैं तो टीवी पे ही देखता रहा हूँ कई वक्त से, लेकिन जो ऐसा रंग नजर आ रहा है उसका और जिस तरह की है, क्योंकि ये नॉर्मली बहुत अच्छी पिच होती है खेलने के लिए, बैटिंग के लिए खासकर.
लेकिन पर ये कुछ चेंज किया क्योंकि 2015 में जो यहाँ टेस्ट मैच हुआ था उसके बाद आईसीसी गेव इट माइनस मार्क्स ना, फेल मार्क्स दे दी थे, पुअर रेटिंग दी थी उन्होंने. देन दे चेंज्ड इट वंस एंड आई थिंक लुक्स लाइक
आफ्टर व्हिच गेम
2015 आई थिंक इंडिया साउथ अफ्रीका टेस्ट मैच व्हिच वाज इन नागपुर. So I think वो 2-2.5 दिन में कुछ खत्म हो गया था. Under 3 days it finished, and they gave it a poor rating. Then I think they made some changes to it. But today it looks like those changes have been changed also.
Yeah, it looks totally different from what we are used to seeing on television, especially, and it looks dark. It's because of the red soil, and we keep hearing that. But there are patches of grass. So it's like when you plant your lawn at home, people at home, when you plant your lawn before the monsoon, it's planted like this. You leave it, leave a little gap, and then over a period of time, through the rains, the grass spreads. So it looks like as if plantation हुई और वो spread हो नहीं पाया under.
क्योंकि बारिश तो हुई नहीं ना कोई, अभी तो बारिश तो शुरू ही नहीं हुई. It is not it's too soon for the monsoon.
आज prediction मत पूछना.
नहीं गैस है ना.
नहीं आज प्रेडिक्शन मत.
सर प्रेडिक्शन तो मैं पूछता ही नहीं हूँ कभी. प्रेडिक्शन तो मैंने एक बार नॉस्ट्रेडामस से पूछी थी और उसने भी गलत बोल दी थी, तो फिर मैंने पूछनी बंद कर दी लोगों से. बट मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली देखिए, शक्ल और अकल दो चीजें होती हैं पिच की. शक्ल तो देख के पता लग जाती है, अकल भांपने में थोड़ा टाइम लगता है. बट एरन फिंच वन द टॉस, डिसाइडेड टू चेज. Virat Kohli at the toss said that I would have batted first anyway. So which gets me to probably Aaron Finch said first time, first match, batting first didn't work, so I'll chase. Understandable. But if it is not, and if it's the pitch, Zach, have you seen sometimes opposing captains reading the pitch wrong, or how often does that happen?
It happens often. I think, and you cannot play this game basis what's happened in the last game.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to wicket.
Does that happen also for a captain? Can you think that?
It does happen. Yeah. And the reason I'm saying it, if dew is not a factor in today's match, then I think it's a bad decision at the toss. If dew is going to be a factor, then wicket will get easier. It will get better. But if the conditions stay the same and stay on the drier side, with no dew around, I think what's going to happen, this wicket will get slower and slower.
So that's why batting second.
That's why Virat wanted to bat first, because he understands that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that dew is certainly not a factor, because he was confident about his approach. He wanted to bat first to put runs on the board, because this wicket, by the looks of it, is going to get more and more difficult to bat as the game progresses.
And if this wicket does slow down, Aaron Finch for the third game will come to the toss and say, I lose. You please decide, because I am obviously calling it wrong. That's why the term comes, no, good toss to lose, because sometimes you're so confused. You're like, just let the other guy decide. We'll do what they are saying. Let's look at the teams though. Everybody is reading this as a turning pitch, so obviously it's going to be spin heavy. Australia is. Let's look at India first. They've decided to go unchanged, and as I always say, if it ain't broke, why fix it? They've got Ravindra Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav, and of course Kedar Jadhav, who are going to be turning. Well, that's a bit of a stretch, right? Turning the ball, bowling slow.
Yeah.
Turning the ball, thoda. Kuldeep.
On a wicket like this, you probably see Ravindra probably do better.
Yeah.
Because when the surface has something to offer, with his pace on the ball, it is more difficult to play.
Yeah.
So suddenly on a flat track, you think Kuldeep is more effective because he slows it down. But on a wicket like this, I think it will be Ravindra who will make the difference, and it will be impossible to get him away. Because I see not just turn, but it'll be a double paste as well.
Yeah.
Because when you see those two different colors, where it pitches, then it.
This double paste is, sorry, I just want to stop you here just for an explanation, because a lot of fans sometimes want to know your two paste pitch, your double paste pitch. What exactly you mean by that?
I'll give an example. If people who are interested, I'm presuming they play cricket and they enjoy.
People are interested.
So do one thing. आपके घर में जो है ना, डोरमैट होगा. घर में डोरमैट होता है, घर जितना मर्जी बढ़ाओ, मैट सेम साइज. आप मैट लगा लो कहीं पे भी सरफेस पे, और एक बॉल फेंकिए, मैट पे गिरेगी और देखना कितनी तेज गई, और दूसरा जो भी सरफेस है, चाहे वो वुडन है, चाहे वो सीमेंट है, चाहे मार्बल है, वहां से किस पेस से जाती है, उसका मतलब है डबल पेस. वो हुई एक ही पिच, बीच में मैट, वहां पे पड़ती है तो अलग पेस पे जाएगी, और दूसरे सरफेस पे गिरेगी तो अलग पेस पे जाएगी. फर्क ये है कि मैट यहाँ इतना बड़ा होगा क्योंकि आप एम नहीं कर पा रहे. यहाँ पे इतना से मैट है, इतना हार्ड है, इतना मैट है, इतना हार्ड है. तो बैट्समैन के लिए ना देखना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होता है. उसको कहते हैं डबल पेस.
This pitch really looks like one of those old footballs, no? With the black and the white patch and the black and the white patch.
जो सिलाई होती है.
Yeah, which used to stitch like, not the new footballs, the old one. Back in our younger days. Early 1900s. But let's look at the Australia pitch. We'll come back to talk about the India players as well. There's two changes that Aaron Finch said. Wants to get another spinner in. So he's got Nathan Lyon into the side with Zampa. So they're going to have two spinners there. Sean Marsh, of course, is available again. So he comes in place of Ashton Turner. And Zach, suddenly the batting order is looking slightly stronger, isn't it?
It is, because Sean Marsh has been in form. So you're actually getting an in-form batsman in the playing 11. That should change the confidence of the batting order as well.
Four hundreds in his last 10 ODI games, so roaring form.
Yeah, and Usman Khwaja has been consistent as well.
Yeah.
He has been scoring those consistently 50s. He needs to get consistent with converting those 50s into
is the biggest
hundreds.
Learning for Australia from the first game that once you get 40-50 runs, no soft dismissal.
Any format. I think any format, it's important that there shouldn't be any soft dismissals.
Yeah.
And once you are in, any batsman would talk about this, that if you get out on 0, it's fine, no problem. If a good ball gets you out, it's fine. That initial phase, if you get out, it's okay. But as a good batsman, you have to, once it's your day, assess the conditions. You've understood what is the how the whole game is going.
Yeah.
Those days you have to score big, and those hundreds needs to be 150s, and then 150s needs to be 200.
Yeah.
That's the way batsman approaches, and that's what usually you've seen all the greats talk about. You look at Virendra Sehwag. You always used to talk about that. It doesn't matter if I get out on 0.
Yeah.
I just need to score those big hundreds. You look at Rohit Sharma as well. His strike rate keeps on going higher and higher, and every time he's scored 100, he's made sure that 100 is 140, 150, 200. That's something which has been consistent. Look at Virat. Look at any good batsman. I think the Fab Four also, what you speak about, they've been very good with this.
Once they're in, they make you pay.
Anytime you're judging a good batsman, you're talking about the conversion rate.
Yeah.
Are you able to convert those 30s into 50s? Are you able to convert those 50s into 100s?
Yeah.
Is what separates you from good to the best.
Well, Ajay, today, Aaron Finch will say, even a 30 is okay for me, right?
If he gets to 30 and he gets out, he'll probably be more upset.
Yeah.
Because as Zach said, at the start you can get out, you're in struggling form. But if you get to 30, that means, you've assessed the pitch, you're in control.
But Aaron Finch is saying, please
अभी तो वो हाथ जोड़ रहा है कि किसी तरह यार ये अंदर वाली बॉल खत्म हुआ.
ये बुमराह निकल जाए.
नहीं, वो बाहर से आउट कर दिया बुमराह ने.
Yeah.
So he's in that चक्रव्यूह में फंसा हुआ है और उसमें निकलेगा. क्योंकि he's a good enough player. It's not that.
But he's under pressure now because Ian Chappell said something so interesting, which is like, Ian Chappell is saying, well, drop him now, or otherwise risk dropping him in the middle of the World Cup. And according to Ian Chappell, he says the worst thing that happened to Aaron Finch was playing Test cricket. And I think somewhat in agreement with Ian Chappell I am, because he was playing at a position where he doesn't play red ball cricket. Right? For Sheffield Shield, for state, he plays red ball cricket at number 5. But here he was made to open. It was not his position. And how displacing can that be in red ball cricket when you're not playing your position? Very few have adapted to it, like Viru and, very few adapt to it.
Yeah, and it's difficult to, do it regularly. I mean, once you've been an opener and you go back to 6, or you've been batting at 5 and you start opening and then you stick with that, then it's still possible. But when you do it through the series, one series you're opening, then one day cricket comes, you go back to 5. It must be difficult, and it is difficult when you're not scoring runs.
Yeah.
What happens in a limited over game is that you tend to forget your dismissal.
Yeah.
In limited over versions, in a 20 over game or a 50 over game, invariably you're playing in a style or in a pace that the run rate or the scoreboard decides. So you get out, you don't probably think so much and you don't start doubting it. But what happens in Test cricket is when
It's all you.
It's all you. You've got out to a certain delivery, then you've got 5 days to think over it. You've got 2 days standing at short leg or silly point, and you see the other guys batting. So it plays on your mind that much longer.
Yeah.
Whereas with one day cricket, it gets over and then you start. So you probably don't think that much.
Such a good point. Love it.
But the only point that I think is that, because he's a good enough player, it's a bit too early to leave him out. Look at where we are. India's only got 4 games to go, and we are not sure of who we're going to take or not.
Wow.
Whereas Australia has got these 4 games, and then they've got another series to come.
5 against Pakistan.
And he's leading. So, that I think it's a bit early to look at it that way, because if it was somebody new, yes, you would leave him out by now. But somebody who's had success in the past and is a proven player, then you're talking of form, and the form comes back in one ball. You hit one ball in the middle of your bat and suddenly you see a different player.
Yeah.
So if it was somebody who was untested or unproven, then probably I would agree with 99%. I agree with Mr. Chappell.
What's the pressure on Aaron Finch? What's the form he's coming into? But since he started playing Test cricket, his white ball numbers, since October, his white ball numbers have really, really been adversely impacted. And there they are in front of you. I mean, that's the reason why Ian Chappell is saying what he's saying, and that's the reason why there's question marks on him, and rightfully so with those numbers. But he's such a good player. You want him to be in form. As a cricket fan, you want him to play well. And Zach, you got to agree with what Ajay is saying, that one ball is literally what it takes. One creaming cover drive in the center, sweet spot of the bat.
Well, I think at the moment what Aaron Finch is going through is a battle which he has to win first with himself.
Yeah.
When you have these kind of numbers, it's not easy. And on top of that, when you are leading the side, so that kind of creeps in with your captaincy as well.
In a bowlers meeting, how would you be discussing Aaron Finch? The current form that he's gone into right now.
Just bowl wicket to wicket, get all the dismissals, possibility of all the dismissals in play, and that's what has been happening. The worrying or the concerning fact with Aaron Finch has been that he's been getting set also. You've seen to Bhuvneshwar in Australia. He was seeing off those early phases, like 7-8 overs. You would feel okay, 10-15 balls he's faced. Now he should be settled. But that hasn't happened. Still that one delivery which comes back in, swings a bit more, and he has lost his wicket. So that's something which he has been battling. And another thing which he has to battle is instinctively he's an aggressive player.
Yeah.
Instinctively he wants to set the pace of the game, and that's something which he has not been able to do. So you're actually acting out of your character. So that is something. So that's why I was saying that he's actually fighting the battle within himself.
Yeah.
He has to first win that battle. What if your natural instinct has been aggressive? You can't change that. You can't. Your form cannot dictate what kind of style you will be bringing into the table. That is natural. So you should stick to your natural style and then figure out a way of how to go about your business. At the moment, what I'm seeing with Aaron Finch is the fact that he's trying to change his batting style.
That's the problem. Between being in form and not being in form, it's the overthinking that happens when you're not in form. And when you're in form, you can just back your instinct and you can keep going. A guy who backs his instinct, and the captain backs his instinct of putting Kedar Jadhav in with his bowling, with his batting. As soon as you put him under the pump in any situation, he becomes a fountain. Right? From hand pump to fountain. And this is, now see his numbers of what he's done. He's been consistently for the last couple of years coming into bat in difficult positions, seeing the team through. This is a montage of all this stuff. I'm not going to read all of it, but just to basically remind you, the macro thought that runs through all of it. It's a 70 for 4, 80 for 4. Kedar Jadhav comes in chasing 250 plus. more often than not, almost 80% of the time, he sees it through. And does he not get enough credit for his batting? Is my question to you, gentlemen.
If you put that question to me, I didn't have him in my side, so yes, I guess he's not.
You did put him after the last game.
Yes, so I guess I'm not giving him enough credit. But just an observation.
I think we all are.
So one of the observations that I have there is, whether he comes on to bowl, it's always, you never get him on to bowl as a first spinner.
Yeah.
Or when things are going well. If you've gone through your bowlers and nothing's worked, and the opposition is in a commanding position, that's when you bring him in.
So 24 of his 26 wickets, by the way, in the last year, 2 years that he's taken.
That's how he became a bowler.
Top order.
Yeah. So from a batsman point of view, I'd make a point is that when I'm scoring at 5, 6 and over, I've got through the bowlers, then the bowlers that you get out to are different. Whereas if you're 4 down and your teams or the opposition's on top of you, you'd actually prefer to have Kedar bowl to you and not Kuldeep or Ravindra.
So that's the reason why he's got top 7 wickets, is because he comes in as a partnership breaker when you're stuck.
Yeah.
And that's when you bowl Kedar Jadhav, and so golden arm, which is why they're calling him.
Yeah. So on that front, it's the weakness that I'm looking at. But on the batting side, if you look at the numbers, he's always done it when you're in trouble. Yeah. And that is what is going to happen. If you bat at 6, you'll rarely come into bat when you're not in trouble or when you have enough time. No, or you'll come in with 5 overs to go, then it really doesn't matter. So his batting is what really has made the big contribution. But bowling is probably the more point of talking, or something that's unusual. Everybody enjoys it. It's a conversational point, and so his bowling is not as good as how much numbers suggest. But his batting is probably better than what his numbers are suggesting. So I apologize for not taking it.
Okay. So we can say his bowling may be not good, as good as the numbers suggest, but it is effective. The situation that he plays in, he gets the job done. May not be getting it done in the rule book classical sort of beautiful off spinner kind of way.
See, we were talking about Finch right now, what he's going through in his mind.
Yeah.
Here's another example. He's on the other side. Yeah. His bowling has improved, not just the bowling, not by technique or anything. It's just the fact that he has got the confidence now of bowling those 5 overs, 6 overs. And how that has happened? That has happened because he's been consistently taking the wickets. So that's something, he started his career as a bowler who would come in as a last resort for the captain, where nothing has worked.
It was MS who started bringing him in, right? Because before he started bowling for India, just adding to what you're saying, before he started bowling for India, he had bowled in first class cricket a grand total of 12, not times, 12 overs.
So someone discovered his ability with the ball.
Yeah.
And now he's just growing in confidence. So in terms of when you look at him technically, or you say that a lot of batsmen who has played him a little bit in the first class or has been scoring runs consistently at the first class level, they will be looking at Kedar Jadhav and thinking that, I wish I
laddu de do. Laddu de do.
They'll be thinking international cricket mein aise bhi bowling aati hai. They will be thinking like that. But he's effective. And he's growing in confidence with the fact that he's figured out a way. If you look at international cricket, you don't get this kind of bowling to face.
Yeah.
You don't get this kind of pace also. So that is what is working for him. And the surprising fact is none of the international batsmen have been figured out a way of how they can tackle Kedar Jadhav.
I'll tell you exactly.
I think the pressure at the international level plays a huge role, and that's what Kedar Jadhav has been very smart in understanding. He understands that how the psyche of batsmen works in certain scenarios, and he uses that to his advantage.
The only way international batsmen can play Kedar Jadhav, especially when he bowls that ball from 4.5 feet, you can never practice in the nets. The only way you can do it is if you have a child who's 10 years old or 11 years old, get that child to bowl to you, because only then will you be able to match that height.
Absolutely.
10 and 11 is also too much. Probably 7 or 8 years old, right? 4.5 foot se jo ball aati hai. Yahan se. Ravindra Jadeja, we're quickly going to touch upon as well, because Ravindra Jadeja, again, is a guy who's been surprisingly effective whenever he's got a chance. Doesn't get too many chances.
Yeah, he's done exceptionally well, in fact, since he's come back. And he came back into the side because Akshar Patel got injured.
Yeah.
In that Asia Cup, I think
Correct.
it was. Or
Asia Cup, yeah.
And he won a couple of man of the matches. He's
With the ball, that too.
What has really impressed me is he's always been a fabulous fielder. He's accurately bowled, but his batting has improved over a period of time.
Yeah.
And not just in numbers, but even if you watch, I mean, the way I see it, in crucial situations, how to take your team through till the end.
Is he a good enough number 7 batsman? I feel he is.
If you ask me, I think definitely. I think amongst all the batsmen that you have who batted at number 7, Vijay Shankar may be a pure batsman, but all-rounders that you've looked around, there isn't a better batsman in that sense. Where do you look at? You either look at domestic cricket, what you've done in the past. He's got 3 or 4 triple hundreds. So, but leave that aside. It's not what you need here. Even in international cricket, he's come in and played those innings, and he has the ability to actually strike as well. 9 out of 10 times when you bat at 7, you will come in to bat only when you need to strike hard.
Yeah.
It's only twice or probably 2 times out of 10 that he would walk in where there's 30 overs left.
Yeah, and he did that a couple of times and he delivered.
And he's delivered. So when a guy at 7 delivers like that, 2 in 2 times, it's almost 100%.
Yeah.
So you don't look at it because he doesn't bat many times. So from his batting point of view, I think there's no doubt. It's the bowling that probably, with Chahal and Kuldeep picking up wickets, that he's been left out. So for me, and with his fielding alone, that's why he's my 12th man.
True all-rounder, man. I mean, his batting, his bowling, his fielding, his sword work.
That's when he gets to 50.
Yeah, sometimes you need that as well, If you're doing a shashlik or something, you need a dinner time, you need some sword work. So it's important. And since we are talking about the India squad, quickly before we round it up, 2 names we have to talk about, not featuring today, are in the 15. Lot of questions about, are they on that England flight, are they not? And we must talk about it as well. KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant. Both not in the 11 today. First, are you surprised? Like they're in the 15, they're not in the 11?
To a certain degree, but not really. I think when you are looking at World Cup now and giving people opportunities, if the team management and the selectors are clear about what are their picks, then it doesn't really matter at the moment.
So you think they're not
then in contention? Because you're not talking about the first 11.
Yeah.
You're talking about the options which are which you are taking as backups.
But you got to have the options and the backups also getting some game time, right?
But that's debatable. It's the game time they will get from the next 6 weeks of IPL, when all the players who are going to be part of the World Cup will be playing. So in terms of staying in touch with the game and staying in touch with the pressure situations and scenarios and playing a role, I think they are going to get enough practice.
Okay, so instinctively, come on, now guesswork now.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult to guess India squads and India teams. We have established that many times before. Instinctively, आपका वो अंदर से वजूद क्या कह रहा है कि केएल राहुल और ऋषभ पंत पहुंचेंगे वर्ल्ड कप के नहीं पहुंचेंगे?
दोनों में से एक तो जरूर पहुंचेगा.
दोनों में से एक.
ऐसे मुझे लगता है. अब इसमें से दोनों के दोनों जाएंगे या दोनों में से एक जाएंगे, देखना होगा.
बट केएल तो पक्का जाएगा.
नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि ऋषभ को पक्का जाना चाहिए.
ओके.
जाना तो चाहिए, मैं भी इनके साथ हूँ, लेकिन केएल पक्का है, क्योंकि कई बार कप्तान को ना ये करना भी पड़ता है जब उनके स्कोर हो गए, क्योंकि पिछले 2 मैच में अच्छा खेले हैं, अब वो स्कोर बना चुके हैं और टीम बनने वाली है, तो अगर आप फेल ना हो तो आप पक्के हो जाते हैं.
ओह, इंटरेस्टिंग.
सो
लेकिन उस हिसाब से तो फिर आईपीएल में तो मैचेस मिलने ही वाले.
नहीं, पर विराट की आईपीएल परफॉर्मेंस इज नॉट गोइंग टू मैटर.
I have a different philosophy here with regard to this.
Okay,
I think you can't protect players.
Yeah.
You have to. No, you can't. You have to put them in scenarios and situations and let them figure things out.
True.
If they're good enough, they will figure it out.
Yeah.
So by protecting someone, it's at times you are giving them a false hope or a false
disservice to them.
Yeah. That that it may not work. You start thinking differently when you've been protected, and you start thinking differently when your back is against the wall. When you know that there are not going to be any chances, you are prepared to take each and every single opportunity which is going to come your way.
Yeah.
But when you know that you are going to be protected, you back of your mind always thinking that if I don't do it in this one, maybe the next one I'll be able to.
I love it. Today's discussion has shown you that cricket is not just a bat and ball game. the thinking and the permutations and the combinations. Chess है ये chess.
It is only in the mind.
Yeah.
और जो इंडियन फैंस हैं उनके लिए यही है कि आप इतनी फिक्र ना करें, ये सिर्फ हमारे लिए और अखबारों के लिए है. Because it really doesn't matter who's your 15th guy. When we won the World Cup in 1983, there was
Sunil Wilson.
See, he never played for India even before or after, but we still won the World Cup.
Correct.
The ones, like Zach said, matter are the ones 11 who actually walk onto the field.
Yeah.
And if we are clear about that, then we are okay. The problem is KL की जो बात कर रहे हो वो ओपन की बात कर रहे हैं, क्या वो खेलने वाला है कि नहीं, और अगर खिलाने वाले हो तो यहाँ पे भी खिलाना चाहिए.
Nice. See, we've given you so much to think about, but we know that you are cricket nerds. You want to think for yourself as well, and for that, Professor Joy has you covered with the Joy Factor. आज अपने पिटारे से क्या सवाल निकाल के लाए हैं जॉय साहब, आइए दिखाते हैं स्क्रीन पे. If Siddharth Kaul was 9th and Pradeep Sangwan was the first, who was second, and what are we talking about? I have a feeling it's about headbands. Is it about I think it's about headbands. No.
You don't have stats around that.
That's why.
Who was the first one to wear headband?
Who was the first?
First was Pradeep Sangwan.
Huh.
9th was Siddharth Kaul.
Okay.
Who was the second, and what is this list? So if you had a list where Sangwan was the first and Kaul was the 9th, who's the second, and most importantly, what's the... Once you figure out the list that we're talking about, then you will know second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, you will know all of them. But what is that list? It's a thinker, isn't it? We thought there was such a turning pitch today in Nagpur, we'll also give you one that'll turn and dart and bounce. So the pitch is two-paced and we are two-faced. So don't worry about it. Give your answers. Hashtag Cricbuzz Live on Twitter. We'll be waiting for them. Before we go, of course, a quick guessing game. I am starting things off by saying India batting first will get 272.
You are being very optimistic.
Optimistic on this pitch, right? तो ठीक है सर, हम तो हमारा तो blood group ही भी positive है.
अच्छा.
I'm going higher, 300. 305.
305. ये देखो.
रईस आदमी है जितने मर्जी.
हाँ, आपकी guess?
मैं आपसे कम पे.
आप कम?
तू कितना बोला आपने?
272.
271.
ये ऐसे थोड़ी ना.
भाई you end up saying कि whoever's closer.
चलो.
So अगर उससे कम हुए तो मैं closer.
And major contribution, Raidu.
अच्छा, दो.
अच्छा.
Well done.
Very good.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Chalo, so we are going to see you, of course, on the 15th over Sri Lankan Airlines and Visit Melbourne present Cricbuzz Combox. Right now, it's time for us to go. And of course, when we go to the room to watch the game, I will be taking Mr. Jadeja on my piggyback because that's what he does in the guessing game. We'll see you on the 15th.